Let us go ahead and get started. So again, thank you so much for letting CollabNet version 1 present today. My name is Mark Dabian. A little background, I've been with version 1 CollabNet for about 9 years now, but only half of that time was as an employee. I started out as a Scrum Master, learning kind of the basics of Scrum, and then I discovered actually the SAFe framework when I was a program manager, and figured out how to actually make that work inside of version 1 after we selected that solution. I liked it so much that about 6 months before I joined version 1, I started stalking them so I could actually implement this at other companies as well. So version 1 has been built to scale for a long time. This is our V model here that we like to talk about, and it really has 3 components. It has the value capture component of that, which is where we're going to break down that work from the program, from the portfolio level into a program, and then have those programs or those arts broken down into the teamwork. So we've always been very strong in the team area with Scrum and Kanban, but we also have been built to scale since we were formed. Once you have those commits done and you want to actually transform that work into actual code, we can then have the integration with our Continuum product, which allows us to build a best-of-class CI/CD solution that includes pipelines and our ability to break down that work into phases and then manage that work all the way through. The nice thing about this is it integrates the value capture and the value delivery together, so we can track things like lead time and value creation all the way through the process. We also bring that data back over to the portfolio, which is really the third part of this, and the value stream measurement and visibility components of that. So again, this is just one slide of kind of how version 1 kind of views our ability to scale and to implement the SAFe framework. I'm going to walk through the demonstration from this point forward, and everything I'm going to show you is really out of the box. So the nice thing about version 1 is you don't have plugins, you don't have other configurations or reports that you need to generate or write. We support SAFe out of the box, and I can usually implement it in 10 to 15 minutes to get it configured, and then we obviously have to load the data. So it's a very quick implementation, and we're going to walk through kind of the high-level strategy all the way through to deployments in the next couple of minutes here. So we're going to start at the strategic theme level. So here I'm looking at what we call one of our scorecards, and I like the scorecard. Oops, I don't want to do that. I like the scorecard because it really highlights for me the total value. So this is the business value that we put in for the epics that are aligned to this specific strategic theme of innovation. And I can see that value score and how we're completing that. So this is just the start of what we want to do as we're tracking this specific strategic theme. I like to visualize this strategic theme as well. So we want to see either down here as the active portfolio items, or maybe visualize the actual work. And this is one of the visualizations that we have, which shows me from the high level here, in this case the portfolio level, out to my epic, which is the next level out. And I can see the epic view of this, and then we can drill out to the feature. If I was using capabilities, I could have the capabilities in between the epic and the feature. And then finally out to my user stories, which are the green chevrons here, or the red chevrons, which are the defects. So this is the Death Star report that I like to show sometimes as we're starting to have our quarterly or our monthly discussion around this specific strategic theme. We can also show this by ignoring the closed items, and that will just show us the remaining work on this specific strategic theme. When we configure version 1, we need to break down that work. So this is an example of the planning levels that we would use. So if I was working with you and one of your customers to implement this, we would set up the enterprise, we would define what the portfolios are. Under that portfolio, we can define either a solution or the release trains, and then finally down into our program increments. And if we have sub-releases or release anytime or on demand, we can configure those as well. All of the data can roll up, and we can also do cross-team dependencies and track all of that at any level within the solution. This dashboard is very configurable, so I can add as many different charts and details as I want to on this specific dashboard, and have multiple different views or different ways to see this dashboard as well. So you can configure all of your arts, all of your portfolios on a single page here to see all of that detail. Once we have that, we want to look at our portfolio dashboard aspect of this. So here's where I have my epic. I can break the epics down into my features, and then the features further down into my user stories. We do support feature to feature or story to story dependencies as well. So this is showing me the user stories rolling up along with the teams that are working on those user stories up into an epic, and then the epic, into a feature, and the feature up into the epic. If I have capabilities instead of in between, I can actually add the capability in there, so I can do as many levels as I want, capabilities, features, and then down to stories as well. You put in the business value, and we saw that roll up at a strategic theme level, but you can also then calculate the weighted shortest job first. And if we want to reorder these, we could actually reorder all of these by weighted shortest job first, simply by ranking that and re-ranking here if we wanted to go ahead and rank that work. The other thing at a portfolio level that we want to do is be able to budget. So here I've got my strategic themes budget, and we're looking at all of that work rolling up from the user stories up into my budgets, and we can track how we're doing in terms of tracking all of that work on a specific budget, and are we on track for that. So the budgeting aspects of that can be by strategic theme, or it can be done by the art or the solution or the portfolio. One of the questions we always get asked is, how do we do the 2-day PI planning session? So we have release planning right in here. So this is my list of prioritized features. I can just drag and drop those features onto the release or the PI that I want to go ahead and build this feature into. I can also assign it directly to a team by dragging it and dropping it right onto the team. We also support putting release objectives in there, either at a PI level or at a team level. So when I put my team objectives in there, I'm able to see exactly what the business value plan number was, and when we're done, we'll put that business value actual number in there. This is showing me what the core app team is building in PI1. Using those numbers, we can generate a report for program predictability, and we can show you exactly where all those teams are in terms of program predictability. If I set the right level here, you can generate that program predictability report, and it'll show you how all of those teams are developing in terms of the different PIs over history, and we can try to stay within that target performance range of 80 to 100%. So the 2-day PI planning session, we want to make sure we have these features set correctly, and then we want to look at them on a program board. So when you establish the dependencies between that work, you can also then show that on the program board. Again, this is representing those strings, virtual strings here with the arrows showing how well we're doing. This can be all in one set of sprint schedules if we're all sharing a sprint schedule, which is preferred, or you can have teams from outside, like system teams or other types of teams actually that are contributing to that as well. So this is showing me that I know exactly who needs to come to sprint 6 for when we have that Scrum of Scrums meeting or that team meeting to see what we need to do. It looks like the website team is going to have to build that customer calendar story earlier. If they build it in sprint 7, we won't be able to deliver the feature that we plan to deliver here in sprint 6. So again, this is the integrated program board that we have, and we can share that across the teams and see that and all of these dependencies a number of different ways. So that answers the question of how do we do our PI planning. The other aspect of this is the DevOps component. So we do have integrated DevOps as well. When we look at DevOps, what we want to do is take those commits that the teams are doing and actually track them in terms of phases and the different pipelines that we may be executing on. This is just one example of a pipeline that we've executed with automated and or manual phases and controls of work. So we can track these controls in this work, and we can manage all of that as the teams are completing their work in the version 1 team or in another team solution. And then we can track all of these phases as that work progresses through. And what that allows us to see is that work on a couple of different views of a progression board. This is showing me all of that work that we have in the different phases of DevOps as we move that work along. We can also track things like rogue or unmanaged commits. So as we see that there's commits that have not happened on a specific package in this case, and or this batch of work that we have here for the Web Store 5.0, it's at version 89. It's very easy for me to see exactly where that work is and what we need to do to move that along into ready for delivery and ultimately out to deployment. We also track the flow and the risk of all of that, so we can track the flow metrics as well as efficiency metrics. So we can track touch time versus wait time. And this is all part of that DevOps component where we can actually see how long it's taking you to actually complete that work, and then how long is that work sitting on a specific shelf before it actually moves to the next phase. So flow and risk allows us to track all of that work. And we have lots of other integrations that we can show you about if you want more details on that. Finally, we can bring that DevOps back and look at it from a feature perspective. So these are my epics again, and I'm looking at it. This is my delivery at a glance board, which shows me where all of my work is and what percentage of that work is done versus delivered. So this is done work. So this is stuff that's actually incomplete The darker shaded boxes are showing me work that's done, and then we can also look at this from a delivered percentage component. So we've completed 22% of the work, and we've delivered to the customer 20% of that work. So it's showing us done versus delivered work, and then all of the other components of the stories, and each of these is a user story that may or may not be done associated to this specific epic. Last thing that we do have is integration. So if we want to sit on top of a solution like Jira, we do have integrations for that. So we can look at our integration hub here. This is showing version 1 connected directly to Jira. And what we do is we map our epics, our stories, and our tasks to Jira, and we can synchronize those either a one-way or a bi-directional sync. So when I create something in version 1, it can automatically get created in Jira, and we can manage those synchronizations back and forth. So how that integration works is we'll just create a simple mapping, and we can add all of the teams and map the teams together, story to story, subtasks and epics. Very simple integration, but it allows us to very easily map and sit on top of Jira for the team level, but let us roll all of this up to a portfolio level. Finally, if you want to go back and get more information about this, you can go to our website. We have a nice section here on SAFe and shows all of the support that we have for SAFe. And then if you want to go ahead and contact us, I've got some information here about our partner. So about our partner team. So again, this is just showing some of the integrations that we have and the mapping that we have. And here's some details about our partner program and our partner team. So if you're not already a partner, you're welcome to join. Greg Graham is the director of our alliances, and his email is at the bottom there. So if you want to contact him, he can give you more details, or you can always go to our website and find out more information. So that's a little bit about how we support SAFe. I know we went through it kind of quickly, but if there are any questions, I don't know if we have time, but if there are questions, I'm happy to answer a few of those if we can get to those.